Hannah Einbinder, one of my favorite actresses, is no longer vegan, and PETA is mad about it. I don't typically cover ex-vegans like this, but I wanted to take a deep dive into her reasoning. We're going to cover whether corporations should be the ones to change, how much of a difference individuals actually make, and more. Let's start with what happened. If you haven't heard of Hannah, you need to run to your couch, turn on HBO, and binge seasons 1 and 2 of Hacks. You can thank me later. She recently appeared on Stephen Colbert to promote season 3, and they briefly touched on her ex-vegan journey.
Also, I do need to clarify, I was vegan at one point, I no longer am vegan, I just gotta clarify that.
Did you have to convert for a relationship or something?
I just think that the pressure needs to be put on corporations who do a lot of the damage to our environment, and less so like on the individual. I think like it's super important to go vegan, and I don't want PETA to be mad at me. I'm not discouraging people from being vegan, but I do just think it's like way more impactful for the like 53 corporations who are like destroying the planet to take charge on that.
Let's start with the basics. Veganism has nothing to do with the environment. It's about animal rights. If she was vegan for the environment, that's not really vegan, that's plant-based. But the fact that she brought up PETA makes me think that she might have concerns about animals. We'll get to what PETA said in a couple minutes. When Hannah refers to 53 corporations, I think she's actually misquoting this study, which says that 100 corporations emit 71% of global emissions. Since corporations have a disproportionate impact on the environment, does that give individuals the right to do whatever we want?
Totally. Which is why I bought this brand new pickup truck. I'm about to drive to Wendy's and get 1,000 burgers because corporations should be the ones taking charge.
God, I fucking hate trucks. But I do want to have a serious discussion on whether or not corporations can lead us to a sustainable, ethical future. Let's see what happens when corporations take charge. Chipotle is famous for having high animal welfare. In 2017, they rolled out new standards for chickens. Their plan included a shift towards slower growing chickens, improved housing, and more humane slaughter methods. I want to clarify that I don't think you can humanely slaughter an animal for an unnecessary reason at a fraction of their natural lifespan, but by humane, Chipotle means moving away from live shackle slaughter, which is one of the crueler methods. On Chipotle's website, they claim that they believe in food with integrity, and they raised animals with regenerative farming techniques, which is the meat industry's new favorite buzzword. There are pictures of happy farms and promises that animals are treated well, but is any of it really true? This recent investigation from Mercy for Animals shows that Chipotle is full of shit. Many chickens were not rendered unconscious before having their throats slit, they're still using fast-growing breeds, and birds arrived in terrible conditions, which means that the farm standards aren't enforced either. When it comes to the meat industry in the US, 4 corporations control 85% of the market. Consolidation over the past few decades means that these corporations have put smaller farms out of business. This lack of competition leads to price gouging. Meat processors claim they raised prices due to increasing input costs, but their profit margins have skyrocketed since the pandemic, with gross margins up to 50% and net margins up over 300%. They're using their market power to extract bigger and bigger profits for themselves. Corporations care about one thing: profit. They are legally required to maximize the value of the corporation and act in its best interest. Why would we expect these people to start acting morally? They've proven time and time again that they do not care about animals or the environment. They will never sacrifice profit for animal welfare. Why would they? They can just pretend they are, and most people will never look at it. This is essentially what PETA said to Hannah. We're a little mad, but we love everything that you do to help animals. Individual actions are important and make a massive difference for animals and the planet. Corporations won't change from a will to do the right thing. Consumer demand is what urges them to change. We'll keep the pressure on corporations, but we need your help and are always here to support you in going vegan again. Is PETA right? Do individual actions actually make a massive difference for the animals? Let's find out. The first step in my research was to ask AI. Let's see what he said. The impact of one person going vegan can be significant over time. While the exact number of animals saved may vary based on individual consumption habits, a rough estimate suggests that a single person adopting a vegan lifestyle could save around 100 to 200 animals per year. This is a number you hear a lot in the animal rights space, but the economics are a little more complex. This book, Compassion by the Pound does a deep dive into this question. And the results are confusing. But even these pro-meat economists argue that individuals do make a difference. This is the metaphor they use. The Great Wall of China is so large that astronauts can see it from space. That's not actually true, by the way. From space, it's impossible to see that the wall is made up of small stones. If one stone were removed, the wall would be smaller, but you wouldn't be able to tell from space. But that doesn't negate the fact that the wall is still one stone smaller. In the same way, the market demand for food is composed of each individual consumer's demand for food. Just as removing one stone reduces the size of the wall by one stone, when one consumer changes their purchasing habits, the market adjusts in turn. It may be hard to see the consequences of our purchase decisions, but every decision matters. To deny this fact is to contend that every person going vegan would have no impact on how many animals are bred into existence. But the number of animals spared isn't 1-to-1. For example, if you abstain from eating 5 pounds of chicken every month, the overall amount of chicken being produced every month will likely fall by something less than 5 pounds, because lower chicken prices induce other consumers to buy more chicken. Here's a chart that analyzes the long-term effects of reducing consumption in 6 animal food products. This means that the 100 to 200 number is probably closer to 75. However, that doesn't account for the spillover effect, which this study does. Humans are social animals, which means that we look to each other to decide how to behave. I didn't just start juggling out of nowhere. I saw someone who juggled and I thought they were cool, so then I started myself. When you go vegan, it's likely that your friends and family will reduce their meat intake and try plant-based alternatives. Since Hannah Einbinder is a famous actress, she has a much bigger influence than the average person. She also comes into regular contact with other famous people who also have a large influence. Another amazing actress, Sadie Sink, said that she went vegan due to Woody Harrelson's influence. I have no doubt that she's inspired people to go vegan as well. To me, this means that Hannah should reconsider her stance on no longer being vegan. However, I do want to make a point that individual action isn't enough to create the large-scale change that we want to see. If millions of people were going vegan, I wouldn't hold this stance. I would be fighting exclusively for individual change. But people aren't going vegan fast enough. The number of vegans is still hovering at around 1 to 3% of the population. And as much as I'd like to push for us to reach a tipping point, which is around 25% of people, I just don't think that's going to happen soon enough. The number of animals killed for food is rising every year, and the conditions are getting worse and worse. It's great to remove yourself from oppressive systems, but that's not enough to overthrow that same system. This is why we need to start taking bold legislative action to take veganism from a fringe movement to a major political issue. We can't rely on corporations, the government, or non-vegans to change. We have to take matters into our own hands as quickly as we can. If you want to help us change the system for animals, consider donating to Pro Animal Future. If you become a monthly donor, we'll mail you these awesome stickers for free. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.